there. Welcome to Sakura Izakaya. How can I help you today?
Hey, what time do you guys open today?
Today we open at 5 p.m. How can I assist you further?
Yeah, I was wondering if you have any vegetarian options on your menu.
Yes, we do offer vegetarian options on our menu. Some of the popular dishes include vegetable tempura, edamame, and various sushi rolls like avocado rolls and cucumber rolls. We also have a delicious miso soup and a range of salads. If you're looking for something specific, feel free to ask.
Yeah, sounds good. I would like to make a reservation for 2 people at 6:30 p.m. today.
Just a sec. Unfortunately, we don't have availability at 6:30 p.m. today. However, we do have openings at 7 p.m., 8 p.m., or 9 p.m. Which time would you prefer?
Yeah, 8 p.m. sounds good.
Great choice. Can I please have your name and email to finalize the booking for 2 people at 8 p.m. today?
Yeah, my name is Nathan and my email is hna6300@gmail.com.
Got it, Nathan. Would you like me to note any special requests, such as dietary restrictions or a special occasion?
Yeah, my wife is a vegetarian and today is her birthday.
Got it, Nathan. I'll make sure to note that it's your wife's birthday and that she is a vegetarian. Let me finalize the reservation for you. Just a sec. Alrighty, Nathan. Your reservation for 2 people at 8 p.m. today has been successfully booked. We look forward to celebrating your wife's birthday with you. If you have any other questions or requests, feel free to ask.
Alright, thank you. So as you can see, the assistant was able to pull up the availability of the restaurant, avoid the unavailable times, and then suggest the times that the restaurant is available for booking. And after talking to the customer and getting the necessary information from them for the reservation, it was able to capture that information in the reservation on the calendar itself right here. With a typical restaurant receiving anywhere from 30 to 100 calls daily or even more during peak hours, missed reservations and overwhelmed staffs are very common problems within restaurants. And so what if your restaurant could answer every call, book more reservations, and boost customer satisfaction all without hiring any more extra staff? Well, it is now possible with AI voice agents just like the one that I just showed you. So what are some of the benefits of AI agents when compared to a human agent? Well, first of all, AI voice agents are always available so they can handle calls around the clock without breaks, ensuring that the restaurant never misses a reservation or inquiry even if it's outside the regular business hours. AI voice agents are also more scalable in the sense that they can handle multiple calls simultaneously, something that human agents just simply cannot do, especially around peak times when there are multiple customers calling in at the exact same time. In terms of consistency, with proper training, AI voice agents can provide uniform responses every time, so ensuring that every customer interactions is polite, is accurate, and is absolutely aligned with the restaurant's guidelines, unlike human agents who might have off days or inconsistencies, because at the end of the day we are, well, humans. And unlike human staff who require onboarding and ongoing training, an AI voice agents can be updated almost instantly with new information, services, or specials. And when the need arises where more agents need to be added to the system, instead of having to hiring someone from scratch and training them all over again, with AI agents we can simply spring up another instance of the agent and it automatically will have all of the training, all of the knowledge, and all of the context that we have already given it previously. And finally, AI voice agents can also automatically log conversations and data, providing insights into customer preferences, peak call times, and common inquiries, so that the business can look at those data points and make decisions to improve their business. If you are new to the channel, my name is Nathan and I have been building software solutions for the past 8 years, first as a software engineer and then as a product manager. And currently, I'm running my own AI automation agency that helps businesses automate their manual operations and scale using AI agents, just like the one that you've just seen. before getting into how the system gets built, let me walk you through the overall steps of how the agent talks to and schedules the reservation for customer first. And so I would do that via a flow diagram here. So first of all, the agent would pick up the call from the customer calling in, and they would answer any questions that the customer would have, whether it's about the menu or about the operating hours of the restaurant, for example. But the system can also be quite flexible in answering these questions based on a knowledge base as well, which I will show you guys in the next part of the video. And so if the customer wants to book a reservation, the voice agent would proceed to ask for the time and the number of people for that reservation, which is the necessary information of a booking. And then once that information has been collected, it will trigger the function call to check the availability for that reservation in Make. And so you might have noticed that in the demo that I showed, I'm using Google Calendar as the booking reservation system for the restaurant, but in reality there might be many other systems such as OpenTable or Yep that can also be integrated with the agent to check the reservation of the specific restaurant. Here are the steps in blue that happen in Make.com, and so Make would go ahead and cross-check the time that the customer booked with the available or unavailable times inside of Google Calendar, and if the time is available, then it would go ahead and finalize the booking. So this is the ideal scenario, right? However, if the time is not available, which is what you've seen in my demo, then the agent would go ahead and find any alternative times on the calendar based on the availability of the restaurant. And this is also done in Make as well. And so after finding the alternative available times, the agent would suggest those times to the customer and let them select which time they would like to make the reservation for. And if one of the three suggested time slot is selected by the customer, then again, we would go ahead and book the reservation. However, if neither of the suggested time is available for the customer, then the customer might want to select a different time. And in that case, we would repeat the entire flow again to check for the availability of the new time that the customer just selected right here. And after going through the conversation, once the final available time has been decided between the customer and the voice agent, then we would go ahead and create the reservation as a calendar invite for the customer with the information that was collected throughout the call. So, the name of the customer, their email address, the time that they would like to make the reservation for, the number of people, and any specific requests or notes that the customer would like the restaurant to know. And so after the calendar invite or the reservation has been created, then the agent would go ahead and confirm that successful booking to the customer, and that is basically the end of the flow. Another very important part of the voice agent system is the knowledge base that it has. Basically contains the information about the business that it can use in order to answer the customer's questions coming in. And so in this case, I basically created an example knowledge base for a typical Japanese restaurant in San Francisco, and you can see basic information about the restaurant, such as the location of the restaurant, the hours of operation, and especially their menu. So the very specific items that the restaurant can offer, and the agent can also use this information if the customer asks for specific questions about what's available on the menu. There would also be other things like dietary options. As you heard in my demo, when I asked for the vegetarian options, the agent was able to pull this information from the knowledge base and combine that also with the menu items above that in order to give me a comprehensive answer about vegetarian options. And so this is just an example of the knowledge base that I gave the agent for this particular context, which is the restaurant. Depending on the business that the agent is working for, this knowledge base can be adapted in order to answer the questions that customers might actually ask during a typical conversation between them and the business. Great, so now that you guys have understood the steps and overall flow that the voice agent would need to go through in order to carry out the conversation and book the reservation, let's jump over into Vapi to see how the agent is set up under the hood. And so first, let's look at the system prompt. You can think of the system prompt as the brain of the agent, where we would fine-tune it using specific business context and instructions, and whether the agent can do what we want in the manners that we want depends a lot on how the system prompt would be set up here. A few things that I would like to highlight. First of all, in the task section, this is where I would specify the sequence of actions that the agent should take if the customer would like to ask questions and make a reservation. These are the exact steps that I just went through with the flow diagram, like collecting the time and the number of people for the reservation, and then check the availability of the time slot that they picked, and then book the appointment once the time slot has been decided. You can also notice how I specify the functions calling here using the exact names of the function, that is check availability and book reservation. So this is to make it absolutely clear to the agent when the function should be called and with what exact input they should call the functions and provide the functions with. I will go through how the functions are set up and how they are triggered inside Make in the next part of the video. Next, the specific section is where I will include specific requirements on how the task should be done. I also provide the agent with an example script here, going through a typical interaction with the customer so that it has some reference of the kind of interaction, style and tone that I would expect. And personally, I don't think that an example script is needed for every context. However, from my experience, having an example script to work with usually helps keep the voice agent more stable and consistent, especially in the cases where I know how the conversation will go more or less, that it has a certain structure every time. I have also seen some developers specify a specific script for each scenario that can happen, like one script for the success case and one script for the failure case. Personally, I don't think that is necessary most of the time, because the agent is usually smart enough to handle the various cases only with the overall high-level instructions and not requiring explicit examples. So while examples can be helpful, like in this case, it's equally important to keep the system prompt concise in order to optimize the tokens usage. And finally, the notes section is where I would specify reminders, areas of caution, or address any potential edge cases that might arise during the conversation so that the agent is aware of this. I also incorporate some emotional prompting here in the last sentence to ensure that the agent consistently follows the instructions that I have provided in the system prompt. And if you are unfamiliar with the concept, it is basically a technique based on research from Cornell University that encourages more thorough and deliberate processing from the agent. I'm thinking of doing a video to explain emotional prompting as well as other prompting techniques that I have used to build AI agents, so let me know in the comments if that's something you guys would be interested in watching. And as usual, I will leave the system prompt as well as other resources that I mentioned in the video description. You can also see here that I'm specifying a knowledge base to my agent, and this is the same knowledge base document that you have seen previously in Google Docs. And to upload a knowledge base in Vapi, you simply go to Files and you would upload the knowledge base that you want as a PDF. And then after you have done this, then the knowledge base will show up in the assistant setup right here. And after this setup, the agent would be able to use this knowledge base when talking to customers. So now let's talk about the functions that the agent would need in order to make the reservation. And they are check availability and book reservation. As you can see, the functions are referenced throughout the system prompt by name so that the agent will know exactly when they should be called. And where do these tools get defined? As usual, they can be found in the tools section in Vapi. This is where you will be able to find the tool specifications such as name, description, and any parameters or inputs that it should expect. So here is the tool to book the reservation. For instance, you will see the name, the description, and all of the parameters that it needs. You will also see the connection between MEC and Vapi being established here through a server URL. MEC is the automation tool that we will use to define the tool's behavior and logic, and you will get what I mean when I explain the MEC scenario in more details next. Okay, congrats on making it this far on the video. We have finally arrived in MEC where the actions happen per se, and corresponding to the two tools that we have defined in Vapi, which is check availability and book reservation, we also have two scenarios that will be triggered and executed, which has basically the same name, check availability and book reservation. The first and the more complicated scenario is the check availability scenario. So let me walk you through how it works. So the first module here is where we basically establish the connection between MEC and Vapi using a server URL. So not much going on here. Where it gets really interesting is here. This is where we ask ChatGPT to basically take the time that the customer has provided for reservation and convert that into an absolute time. The reason why this steps needs to exist is because the customer can say the time in many different ways. So for example, if today is Monday and I would like to make a reservation for 5 p.m. tomorrow, I can say 5 p.m. tomorrow, or I can also say 5 p.m. on Tuesday, which basically still mean the same thing. So that we need to convert this into a format that is complete with date, time, and year so that we can communicate that time more accurately when we work with Google Calendar. Next, we will take the resulting time from the previous step and check whether there is any other busy time slots during the time that the reservation is supposed to happen. In this case, I'm assuming that the reservation would take 60 minutes, but you can specify the duration of the appointment or the reservation based on your exact need. Now, if the time is available for booking, we simply send back a signal to Vapi so that the agent knows to proceed with the next step of the conversation. However, if the time is not available, then we will go into this branch, and this is where we will find and suggest other alternative times that is available for booking. We do this first by getting all of the unavailable time slots within the same day that the customer would like to book the reservation. Then we would do some parsing and processing to make sure that those unavailable times is in the format that we can use for the next important step. But we also want to make sure that the unavailable time slots information is in the right time zone that we can use. In my case, it's GMT +7, but you can modify this to the time zone that you need. Now we have enough information to provide to ChatGPT and ask it to suggest 3 alternative time slots to the user. And so if we look at this module, this is where we specify the instructions on how that happens. So first, please recommend 3 alternative 60-minute time slots, which is how long the reservation is supposed to be, and abide by the following rules. Here are all the times in the day where the reservation is not available, and you must not recommend any times within this time slot. So this comes directly from this step. Next, we give it the time that they have tried to book in initially but was not available, and the reason why this information is here is that we want to try to recommend the times that are as close to the initial booking time as possible. We also give ChatGPT the current time so that it knows not to select any time slot that is before the current time, which is in the past. I also provide ChatGPT the business hours of the restaurant so that it avoids any time outside of the operating hours. Putting it all together, we will have a prompt that looks like this, and the output will be 3 alternative time slots that we can suggest back to the customers to book. Then all we need to do is to send this information. Well, first we format it in a way that is conversational as opposed to JSON, and then all we need to do is to send this information back to Vapi, where the voice agent can then tell the customer the alternative time slots that they can book their reservation instead of the initial time that they asked for. And while I'm doing the availability checking in Google Calendar as a demo for this voice agent, in reality, we can integrate with booking systems to check the real availability of the restaurant based on the time as well as the number of people that the customer wants to make the reservation for. Once an available time slot has been decided between the voice agent and the customer, we would go ahead and book that reservation into Google Calendar using this module right here. And as you can see, I'm using the name that I'm getting from Vapi in the make scenario in order to make the reservation invitation more personal. I'm also capturing all the different information that was mentioned by the customer during the conversation. So the time, obviously, that they want to book, as well as the number of people, and any special requests that the customer wants to make. So in this case, in the demo example, I mentioned that my wife is a vegetarian and it's her birthday. Vapi was able to capture that information and send those information to make.com. And so in make.com, I simply reference those parameters that Vapi gave me in order to use in the email reservation. And once the reservation has been booked, Make will simply send back a signal to Vapi, telling the voice agent that the reservation has been booked in, and the voice agent can let the customer know that. Just as usual, I will leave the Make scenarios that I just showed in the video description, along with other resources that I mentioned in the video. And that's it. An AI voice agent that can help answer customer questions and book reservations. Let me know in the comments what kind of AI agents and topics you would like me to cover next. If you enjoyed the video, feel free to give it a thumbs up and also subscribe to the channel as well. It would mean a lot to me, and it would also help show the video to other people that might benefit from it as well. And finally, if you are a business looking to implement this kind of system, please feel free to connect with me on LinkedIn or book a call so that we can discuss how we can future-proof your business with AI. And that's it from me today. I'll see you in the next one.